Welcome back, everyone. So I have a confession to make. I'm in the shower this morning, right? I'm thinking to myself, geez, I'm going to see Bob today. This is great. And I thought to myself, what am I going to say to him to start? And I've got it. You ready?
Yes.
So you're settling into the new job?
Yes, I am. Yeah. After 48 years, I can walk in here almost blind and find my desk, and I can also pick up the phone messages and pick up my emails every day and just about tell you who's going to be on the other end.
I think, yeah, after 48 years, I'm sure you can. 48 years is a record, by the way. Longest running mayor in New York State, right?
Yes.
Maybe 2 or 3 in the country.
Yes.
So, that's it. Rumor has it that recently over in Fenway Park, somebody pretty interesting threw out the ball for a game. Who was that?
I did. I was invited by the Red Sox to throw out the first pitch in the game last Sunday against the Baltimore Orioles. And it was extremely exciting. Phil Morris, our local resident and part owner of the Red Sox Menace there, he stayed with me the whole time. A wonderful, wonderful experience. And I threw it right across the plate, albeit on one bounce.
Yeah, okay.
But it was an experience of a lifetime. And of course, I'm a Red Sox fan. Been a Red Sox fan for years. Went to Boston University, and there was 33,000 people there applauding. The best part was when they said Lake George, New York, one of America's top 10 family destinations. That made it for me.
That's great. Well, that clicking sound of all the Yankee fans turning off this interview, I think maybe they'll hold in if we talk about Lake George, don't you think?
Yeah, Yankee fans love Lake George just as much as the Red Sox people.
You bet we do. So at any rate, I want to hit on a couple of things. The wastewater treatment plant, 5 years. A lot of work has gone into this, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of challenges. Someone with your kind of experience has really shepherded this project. We're going to break ground, aren't we?
We're going to break ground Tuesday, the day after Labor Day. And it's been 5 years in the planning. We're under a consent order, of course, from the Department of Environmental Conservation to build a new plant. Our plant was 85 years old, very antiquated, and we were discharging over the limits of nitrates into the lake, which is harmful.
That's right.
Our plant is located right next to Wexbrook, which flows directly into the lake. And we have test pits around it because we discharge onto sand beds. We don't discharge into a body of water because Lake George is a Class A1 lake. So we're excited about breaking ground. Unfortunately, we still haven't met our goal for funding. We've got $7.5 million. The cost of the plant is estimated to be $24 million. Our small community and the town of Lake George, which we service, those people cannot afford the plant right now. So we've got some applications in for funding this spring in the next round of the governor's CFA funding grants. And I'm confident, I've told everybody at every meeting that I've been to, have faith. Have faith that people love Lake George, that Lake George is a crown jewel for the entire state, and that the state will recognize that, and they'll be coming forth with some additional funding.
Well, it sure seems like they want to cooperate, right? I just want to cycle back on something. This consent order really means that if you don't meet a deadline, that you can be fined like an enormous amount of money a day for not getting this done, correct?
That's correct, and we've met every single deadline so far, including breaking ground about a month ahead of schedule.
That's great, and it's a field of dreams in the regard that you've got to start. You can't begin until you start, right?
No, you have to have faith. Our community certainly doesn't want to be fined an exorbitant amount of money, and again, I'm certain that the state and the federal government, we've had Schumer here, Elise Stefanik has been here, the governor, we're on his page, I'm certain, knows the value of our lakes, and in particular Lake George, which we have been named one of the top 10 lakes in the country, and 3 weeks ago we're named the most beautiful lake in the United States, ahead of Lake Placid and Tahoe. So,
well, I got news for you. I've been to Tahoe and I've been to Placid, And my wife and I are really fortunate. We own a home on the lake up in Hague, as you know.
I know.
And you're not going to get any argument from me on that.
No.
Every single time, you and I could compare notes for the thousands of times that we've looked at this lake, and every time it's like you see it for the first time.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's really true. The state's got a pretty big budget for infrastructure. So I imagine that you're pretty optimistic about this,
Yeah,
right?
the governor's been given by the feds, I think, $250 million. He's got his own money in his budget, of course, which was just approved. So I'm certain that we're on their radar. And again, we were confident in going forward. We're confident that we're going to be able to build an affordable plant. Certainly, the worst thing that could happen is that we don't get any more funding, and the tax rate and the sewer rate in Lake George is going to be enormous, especially for retired folks. People have an image of Lake George, the big homes on the lake. Those are not the homes we service.
That's right.
Lake George Village is the little guy, the little family that lives on the back street, and the businessmen. We don't have the big resorts. We've got some big resorts in our system, but the average taxpayer is who's going to foot the bill on this. And Lake George is a very small community, and we need some help.
I've got it. You've seen so many changes. My God, 48 years, right? The real move is to try to extend the season way beyond Labor Day, right? Get more involved in shoulder season. We've worked a lot with CVB and the Chamber here about this 365 initiative to extend it. We see the Marriott go in downtown and whatever. What's your sense about extending this season out year-round?
Well, I think we've done a good job up to this point. I can remember on Labor Day evening, back in the 50s and 60s, we had a party for all the merchants. We would pick a establishment out of a hat. Every merchant closed at 6 o'clock at night on Labor Day, went to that function, had a dinner at 11 o'clock at night, and no one opened up the day after Labor Day. That's right. Except for a few essential businesses like a gasoline station or so forth. Now we go clear into October. Our foliage is magnificent. All of our special events, the Balloon Festival, the Hemmings Motorsports, the Adirondack National Car Show, the other end of the season, Americade, and all the events, the Wine Festival. We now are busy from about the beginning of May right straight through to the end of October. But we've got a long way to go. And establishment like the Marriott, very well known, #1 hospitality brand in the country with Lake George and all their brochures all over the world. We saw a tremendous amount of businesses this last winter open that were never open before. And a lot of it was because of the Marriotts of the world and the Holiday Inn, the Turf, the Hampton Inn, putting people on our street looking for something to do. It's made a huge difference, and we're still going to do some other things along the line.
And I've noticed too that the local owners, I'm thinking of Salim and the Surfside, the enormous amount of investment that the people in our community are making, really hoping that this comes to fruition, right? One of the major things, kind of new news, but very exciting, and one that plays right into what we're talking about here, is the Performing Arts Center. Proposed Performing Arts Center. Tell me about that.
Well, I formed a committee just about a month ago, made up of individuals that have very diverse backgrounds in the performing arts. Musicians, promoters, executive directors, 501c3 organizations, some really, Jonathan Newell, who just was so successful with the Strand, Alex Lombard, who just got done with his 2-week very successful music festival. John Strong, a longtime director of the Lake George Arts Project. We need a performing arts center in Lake George. The name Lake George is a magnet, but when people call us, and they do it all the time, my phone rings, there's a band coming through Lake George. They're too big to put anywhere. We have the Wood Park, and the Wood Park has been bringing some great shows to town, but we need an indoor facility. Saratoga Springs has one. Hudson Falls now has one.
That's right.
Lake George needs one. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to, in the next 2 or 3 years, put together a meaningful business plan. We've kind of zeroed in on the Lake George Forum, which is, as you know, on Route 9, just south of the village, highly underutilized, beautiful building that's readily equipped, you know, to house a performing arts center. So our goal is to talk to the owners, see if we can put together a package, go to the people, make sure that we can prove that it's not going to be a burden on the taxpayers, it's going to be an asset. And if we can open up a performing arts center in Lake George, it'll be booked year-round, every weekend.
Right.
And people will be coming here to Lake George, staying in the hotels, dining outside, and enjoying themselves year-round in Lake George.
I think it's an incredible project. Well, I guess this all kind of leads me to believe that, you know, somewhere down the future, you know, you think about retiring at all, or?
I think about it every day. And then just about the time I think about it, I think about something else that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Like the Performing Arts
That's
Center.
right.
And people have said, a lot of times we joke about this, you know, Mayor, you've been there 48 years. How come? And I say, well, it takes me a lot longer to get something done. But I hope when I get it done, it's done right, and it's lasting. I mean, the lakefront walkway took 11 years. The Lake George Visitor Center on our corner there took 5 years. The treatment plant now, the new treatment plant, has been 5 to 6 years. So anything that's worthwhile takes some time, and you have to make sure that you do it right. Do it right the first time, because you're not going to have another chance.
That's right.
You know that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, we're lucky to have you. I'm telling you, really, you're such an asset to the community, and just your whole feeling about where we live is just, I mean, it's in your heart. You can really tell. So, well, good. It's great to check in with you.
Thank you very much,
Great
Jesse.
to see you again.
Thank you.
And we'll be back again. I want to know more about this Performing Arts Center.
Okay.
Okay. All right. See this interview again. You can head to our website, looktvonline.com.